Welcome everybody. This is the DVMUG Zoom meeting, Tuesday, November 11th, 2025. We got a little bit of news, mostly about last week's updates. And then we got some Gary's videos about 26.1 for the phone and for Tahoe. And then a couple more Gary's videos, passwords of the new history of the new feature in 26, and a couple of Apple ones, and another one from Gary on. So we got new stuff. And we'll move forward with the first news article. Go forward. So last week, in case you missed it, 26.1 dropped on Monday, so we didn't get to talk about that during the class on Tuesday. So if you haven't done it, that has some new features, but mainly if you're on 26, you got to do the update. It has security updates. So I'll talk about that. So there's an article if you want to download the news. Tells about what's in there. There's a link in the news to read the Tidbits article. Tidbits is always really good. He doesn't come out with the stuff first. That's Adam Angst. But I like that he waits and does a thorough. Everybody wants to rush to be the first out there, and sometimes they aren't very thorough about their articles. So I like his article. I like to wait for him. So also, which didn't get much news and didn't get mentioned by most news places, was I think it came out a little, did not simultaneously. It might have been a little delay. So Sequoia and Sonoma had updates that has a new Safari and the security updates from Tahoe. So you want to do that. And when you do it, you'll do the Sonoma and security updates, but after you do it, go back and check the updates again, because Safari is not included in that point update. It's a separate download after you update. So make sure you go check Safari, and the Safari will be the same as you get in Tahoe. So you're good to go. All right. iPad and iOS updates, also all security updates. I guess Gary's going to talk about there was some features in it. We're going to have a video about that. So you can do that in general software update. You can go to, if your phone supports it, you can go to iOS or iPadOS 26 point if you haven't. But also if you go down below that, it'll say more stuff, and you can just upgrade to iOS 18 if you don't want to make the jump to 26. So you can get the security updates. So that's always an option. So look for that if you're not thrilled you want to make the leap to the new liquid glass right away. You can always do that. Okay, that's the news. Any comments, questions about the updates of everything? People have done them? Yes, no?
Yeah.
I'm doing it right now on my laptop.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So these are our videos. We got a couple about the new 26.1s from Gary. Password history here is 26 stuff, a couple short ones from Apple, and then one to finish with Gary. That's also something new in 26. So we'll go forward. And this is the first one. Has some new features in 26.1. Also, you can tone down liquid glass. They changed that a bit. We can talk about that when we get to the end with comments and questions. Okay, here we go.
Hi, this is Gary with MacMost.com. Let's take a look at what's new on your iPhone in iOS 26.1. Now, earlier this week, Apple released iOS 26.1 for your iPhone. If your iPhone was compatible with iOS 26, you could upgrade now to 26.1. To do that, just go to the Settings app and then to General, and then look for Software Update. It will then search for the software update and walk you through updating your iPhone. Perhaps the most talked about new feature is the ability to tone down the new liquid glass look a bit. If you go into Settings and then you scroll down to find Display and Brightness, you'll see this new liquid glass setting. Select that, and you can choose between clear, which is exactly how iOS 26 looked, and a tinted look here, which will make many of the controls more opaque like this. Don't expect too big of a change though. For instance, with clear on, this is what Control Center looks like. And you're not really going to notice any difference if you turn on tinted. The difference is more pronounced when you're looking at controls. Like look at the controls here at the bottom of Safari. This is with the setting set to clear, and this is with the setting set to tinted. Take a look at Maps while it's set to clear, and now look at how it looks when set to tinted. Now, if you really want to depart from the clear look in liquid glass, you still have the setting in accessibility under display and text size, and you could turn on reduce transparency. Now you'll notice that the Control Center blanks out everything behind it, and other things like the dock down here at the bottom that were transparent before are now much more opaque. But do note that if you have reduced transparency turned on, then if you go back to display and brightness, you can no longer switch between clear and tinted. Reduced transparency overrides either one. Now, a big change that you will notice if you use alarms on your iPhone, I'm going to create one here that will go off in 1 minute. And then I'm going to lock my phone, and you'll see how things have changed now when the alarm goes off. So you can see here, when the alarm goes off, I've got a large snooze button, but if I want to stop the alarm, I can't just tap on this. I have to slide it over to the right to stop it. This prevents you from accidentally hitting the stop button instead of the snooze button. Now, another new feature that involves sliding is in the Music app. So now when you're playing music in the Music app, you've got the little mini player here at the bottom. Before, you would have buttons that you would tap to go to the next song or the previous song in the playlist or album. But now you can swipe. So to go to the next song, I just swipe from right to left. And there's a third feature that involves swiping. If you're on your lock screen, you probably know that you can swipe from the right to the left to go right to the camera. Now, you may know because you use that a lot, or you may know because you accidentally do it all the time and it's annoying. iOS 26.1 allows you now to turn that off. So you would go to Settings and then go and look, of course, for Camera. And then there's a new setting down here for lock screen swipe to open camera, and you can turn that off. Now, while we're in Settings, let's go back here and go to Privacy and Security. There's a new setting that's all the way at the bottom under Background Security Improvements. And you can now turn on Automatically Install. It should be on by default. And this will install important security updates quietly in the background. If you find these videos valuable, consider joining the more than 2,000 others that support MacMost at Patreon. You get exclusive content, course discounts, and more. You can read about it at macmost.com/Patreon. And now I've got one more setting for you. If you go to the top level and then go to General here, there's a new setting under Local Capture. Local Capture is the new feature in iOS 26 that allows you to record when you're on a phone call or FaceTime. Now you can choose the save location for where those recordings go, and you can choose audio only if you want to record, say, FaceTime, but just the audio portion. So this feature is handy if you use FaceTime to record a podcast. You can get the audio recording saved without doing anything special. Once you've got FaceTime going, you can bring up Control Center. And then if you don't have it already, you can add the control for local capture. And then you could turn that on to capture the audio or audio and video from the FaceTime call. Now, for some people, all these changes are nothing compared to the big change of the addition of new languages for Apple Intelligence and for live translation. These are the new languages added for Apple Intelligence. So if you're using one of these languages, you just got all of the Apple Intelligence features that weren't available to you before. And also for live translations, these are the new languages that are available in iOS 26.1. And of course, this update also features lots of bug fixes and small updates. Like, for instance, the Apple TV icon here looks a little bit different. When you go into Settings, you may notice that some of the headings for some of the settings now are left justified, and little things like that. Hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching.
They covered what I was talking about, but pretty good. Comments, questions? The override, the tinted thing doesn't do much for me if you're having problems reading stuff. The accessibility still has, like he showed, reduced transparency. And I think it also has increased contrast still in there, which makes a huge difference for readability.
I have one comment, and that is that a caution against eliminating that swipe to camera, because if you eliminate swipe to camera, it's going to be a lot harder catching ice in action.
That's for people who enable it accidentally and it's irritating and they don't want to use it.
I'd like to, I don't know if it's maybe later on I should, something that Lee talked about last time, the side button function is different now.
Okay, anything else? Should we move on to the next one? 26. I'll go forward. This is for Tahoe 26.1. Bug fixes and a few minor changes and more Spotlight support. A lot of stuff is being put into Spotlight now. Okay.
Hi, this is Gary with MacMost.com. Let's take a look at what's new in macOS Tahoe 26.1. So macOS Tahoe 26.1 just came out, and you can get it by going into System Settings and then going to General and Software Update. If you haven't yet updated to macOS Tahoe and your Mac is compatible, you'll get Tahoe here and it'll take you right to 26.1. If you're at 26.0, then you'll get the update to 26.1 here. Now, the change that everybody's been talking about is a new setting under Appearance. If you go there, you'll find the setting right here near the top. There's a setting for liquid glass, clear, or tinted, and you can switch between them. If you didn't see any real change to my screen when I switched, that's because the change is very subtle. As a matter of fact, there's really nothing here that's going to change at all. But if I create a new Finder window like this, and you look closely at the sidebar here as I change from clear to tinted, you'll see a subtle change. I'll go back to clear here and zoom in and see if you can see it now. It's hard to see even with the Apple Studio display, and it's high resolution and HDR. But in this video, it's going to be even harder to see that through the video compression. But there is a slight change between clear and tinted. It's still nothing compared to what you get if you go to Accessibility and then Display and then turn on Reduce Transparency. That's a much bigger difference. And in fact, if you have this turned on and you go back to Appearance, note that you can't actually make this switch. This only works if you're not using the Reduce Transparency here. Now, besides that is a change to Spotlight, particularly the Spotlight section that shows apps. Now, you get to that by using Command Space or clicking on the magnifying glass at the top and then Command 1 to go to Applications. And you may notice the difference right away if you've been using this. It's much wider. One of the complaints before was if you're going to use Spotlight to launch apps, why make it so small? Have it take up most of the screen. And this is much wider. It's actually 7 columns now instead of just 5. So you can fit more apps here into the grid. It doesn't make really any difference if you switch to list view because you're just getting 1 per line anyway. But definitely with grid view, it makes a difference. Now, in addition to that, the sections have changed. If you just use this normally, you would normally scroll and you would find a section here called Utilities. That section is now called Other. So it maybe is more accurate because not everything in here is going to be utility. In addition, if you have iPhone apps and you've got that enabled in your settings, the iPhone apps would be a separate section after your Mac apps. They wouldn't be all mixed in together. That setting here is in System Settings and is under Spotlight. And then here under Results for apps near the bottom is iPhone apps. So if you have that turned on, that's when you would see your iPhone apps there, and launching one of those would then use iPhone mirroring and take you directly to that app. So the only change here is just separating them out. Now, when you look at your list of apps, it's Mac apps first and then iPhone apps after it, but you can still search for both. Now, another section in here, of course, is using Command 4 and going to the clipboard. So the clipboard here will save any text, images, and some other things that you copy and put them in here as a history. Previously, a lot of people complained that it only saved the items for 8 hours. That was it. It was the only option you had. After 8 hours, an item would basically disappear from that list. But now, if you go to System Settings and then Spotlight, and all the way at the bottom, you've got a setting for the time. And it's 8 hours or 30 minutes if you prefer to have things in there for a shorter period of time, maybe for security, or maybe you use the clipboard a lot and you just don't want the list to get very long. Or you can have it set for 7 days if you prefer items to be around longer. Also notice there's a clear clipboard history button here now in System Settings under Spotlight. So you can clear the history right here. This isn't new functionality. As before, you could go here and clear history right here in the Spotlight menu. If you find these videos valuable, consider joining to the more than 2,000 others that support MacMost at Patreon. You get exclusive content, course discounts, and more. You can read about it at macmost.com/Patreon. Now, there are a couple icon changes, very minor, but other people have mentioned them. Notice the hard drive icon there looks a little bit different than it did in Tahoe version 26.0. And there's also a new TV app icon now, taking on some of that coloring that Apple's now using in some of its marketing. There are other things as well. One of them is Apple Intelligence, and the live translation feature that relies on Apple Intelligence has now expanded to more languages. Now it works with Chinese, both traditional and simplified, Japanese, and Korean. In addition, there was a bug before if you used AutoMix with Apple Music. AutoMix is a great feature that blends one song into another when you're listening to a playlist, and it works in macOS Tahoe 26.0 just fine unless you were using AirPlay to send the audio to some other device. Then it didn't work. That's been fixed, so it works over AirPlay now. Also, another audio fix is improved audio when using FaceTime. And one other change here can be seen in System Settings if you are managing the settings for a child using parental controls. Now, if you go into Screen Time, and let's say you switch to the child that you're managing there, Communication Safety is going to have Communication Safety on by default. If you had it on already, it doesn't change anything. Also, under Content and Privacy for the web content, it's already set, I believe, probably to limit adult websites as the default, though it's hard to tell since I already had this set up for another tutorial. People are also reporting that macOS Tahoe 26.1 is running a little faster and using a little less battery power on MacBooks, which is good, and that maybe some other minor bugs are fixed as well, although I'm sure there are plenty of bugs still for Apple to work on in future updates. Hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching.
Hear me, sorry. Go ahead, comments, questions? Anybody, anything? I can't see who is muted or not. We got 24 people, so people showed up late.
Yes, some of these settings are defaulted to already.
Right.
Defaults, like exclude adult websites, as an example.
Right. Everybody else, move on to the next. Stand by, I'm renaming people. Okay, I'll go for another one. This is also a new 26 feature. This is password history where he'll explain how this works. Could be handy for some people.
Hi, this is Gary with MacMost.com. Let me show you how you can access your passwords history on your Mac and your iPhone. So a new feature in macOS Tahoe and iOS 26, as well as iPadOS 26, is the ability to save a history for each password in the Passwords app. That's the built-in password manager that comes with Apple's operating systems. So previously, when you changed your password, it just simply replaced the old password. But now it does that, but also saves a history so you can actually look at the old password. That can come in useful in some situations. So as an example here, I'm going to use my course's website. I'm going to create a new user account and let the Passwords app on my Mac generate a strong password for that. So on this site, I'm going to go to create account here, and then I go to a page where I can create a new account. I'm going to enter in my email address, and then when I get to the password field, it's going to suggest a new strong password. This is the most important part of using a password manager, is letting it generate long, strong, unique passwords of random characters. So I'm going to say use this strong password, and it puts it in, and you can see the site is happy with it. It shows that it's a strong password. And now I'll click register to register with the website. When I do that, look what happens. I get a little box here that says, yes, update the password for this site. So now I can be sure it's saved in the Passwords app. But let's check anyway. I'll go to Passwords here, and sure enough, I'll see the entry for this site. You can see courses.macmost.com. There's the new password that's generated, the username. I can add notes if I want, and I could view history. If I click here, I could see password changed, password saved. It may look a little different for you if you're registering with a new site, but the bottom line is that you're going to have this history here that's going to record that first password here in this history list. If you find these videos valuable, consider joining the more than 2,000 others that support MacMost through Patreon. You get exclusive content, course discounts, and more. You can read about it at macmost.com/Patreon. Let's go back to the site, and let's say it's months later, and for some reason I want to change the password to the site. So I'm going to go, in this case, to account details. Every website does it a little differently as to how you change the password. So you have to go to the site and figure out how to get to your profile or account settings or whatever it is and change the password. So I'm going to go in here and go down to this area here that shows password change and then initiate a change on the website. I'm going to click on current password because this site, like a lot of others, requires you to enter in your current password to then change it to a new one. If I click here, you could see the password manager on my Mac suggests the current password. So I don't have to type it in. That's the whole point of the password manager. Strong, unique, random passwords, and you don't have to type them. You don't even have to see them. You can just confirm and the password manager will add it. If this wasn't the right site, if it wasn't courses.macmost.com in this case, then it wouldn't suggest this one. So any phishing attempt to try to get you to enter your password into the incorrect site isn't going to work. The password manager is simply going to not recognize the site. So I'm going to enter in that new password. It asks me to confirm, and there it is. Then it's going to go to the next field, and it's going to recognize that this is a new password field, and it's going to suggest a new strong password. Yes, I do want to use that. And it enters it in the new password and confirm new password field because it recognizes that the site has both of those. It may be different on a different site. So now I'm going to click Save Changes to not only save it on the site, so actually make the change on this website, but it should also trigger the password manager, the Passwords app on your Mac to record this. So I click here and sure enough, it says, yes, I do want to update this. So now I could see it has been changed on the website and I should see a change here as well. And sure enough, if I look at the password field here, I'll see the new password. And if I go to view history here, I'll see password changed just now. And if I click here, I'll see the new one as opposed to the old one. Now, what's the point in saving the old one? Well, one of the main reasons to do that, and one that I experience all the time, is sometimes you're not completely sure that the website actually got your password change. Like you make the change and then you've replaced the password in your password manager, but did the website actually change the password? If there was a mistake, if there was an error, if there was an extra confirmation you didn't hit or something like that, your password remains the old password. But now you've lost that old password because your password manager replaced it with the new one. But now you've got a history. So if something did happen on some website and the new password was not used, you still can go back into this password history and get this old password. I know I've always used the notes field to actually save old passwords, copying and pasting into the notes whatever the old password was, just in case. But now I no longer need to do that. And another option you've got here that you should note is this clear history button. If you click that, you can actually clear the history of all the old passwords if you need to. Now you also have this ability on the iPhone and the iPad. So you just go into your passwords app there, as long as you're updated to iOS 26 or iPad OS 26, and you can look for that password entry here because iCloud is syncing these between your devices. And you can see here's the same entry in the passwords app on the iPhone. And you've got a view history button there as well. So you could see the old password and the new password. And you also have a clear button here as well. So this is a great improvement to all the password apps across all of your Apple devices. The best thing about it is there's nothing to do. It just automatically records a history. And hopefully you never need the old password, but if you do, you know where to find it. Hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching.
Okay. One thing I noticed that might be useful for is sometimes I've seen when you have to change your Google password to recover it, it will ask you to enter, it'll say no. It wants you to enter a previous, not your current password because you don't know it. You're trying to say, put in the last password you remember going back because they keep a history of when you've changed it. And sometimes that helps to get you through to be able to remember an old password. So there you go. And the nice thing about the password manager is Apple now supplies, you can download and install on Chrome or Firefox. You can sync your Apple passwords over to those browsers and it will synchronize. And you can use the same password manager across all three from Apple, just like you can with 1Password or Bitwarden. And they even have one for, I think, Chrome on Windows. I don't know what browser they have, but they are available on Windows where you can do it on Windows.
So, John, I have so you save, you have history. Why would you want to wipe out the history? Is it just gives you the option to do it, right?
Some people wanted to do it, yeah.
Okay. But you don't, you wouldn't.
Once you're
Well,
done,
let
I
me
guess
put,
once you're done and it's working and you're using it, then you don't really need the old password anymore.
oh, okay.
So, maybe you test it and it does work and it did change and there's no problem, then you could, just a feature.
Okay.
I
Okay.
don't know that
I get
1Password or
it.
Bitwarden does that, do they? Anybody know, do they do the history? I don't know.
You have to type it in.
It doesn't remember your old password. You
Yeah.
just say,
On 1Password, there's a spot for notes. I always put my old passwords in the
yeah,
notes.
okay, you have to manually do it.
Yeah.
What I usually do in notes is when they go through, they ask you for 2 or 3 security questions, pick from a list, answer the question, or make up your own thing. Please, somewhere, write those down
Yeah.
and make sure your answers are exactly letter for letter, capitalization, punctuation, exactly the same. Doesn't matter what you put in there. Your dog's first name, you can put Michigan when it has nothing to do. It doesn't matter what you put in the answer as long as the answer is exactly what you type in when they ask. In fact, it's probably even more secure when they ask you what city were you born in to put in, 1, 2, 3,
Hamburger.
4 or something, or cryptic, some kind of random password that means nothing. But those are really bad security issues, and people still use them. It's crazy. Okay. Anything else? Hearing none, we'll go on to the next one. This is very short from Apple. I think this is a new feature.
Here's how to learn more about your iPhone battery usage. When you update iOS or set up a new iPhone, the process might continue in the background, which affects your battery life. Try waiting a couple of days. If the process is still completing, there is a banner in the Insights section of your battery settings. Also, in most situations, Wi-Fi uses less battery power than cellular networks, so try using a Wi-Fi network whenever possible. Understanding how you use your iPhone can help you better understand its battery life. And you can learn more about your battery activity in Settings under Battery. Depending on how you have your iPhone set up, you might get some optimization suggestions. To view the details about your battery usage, scroll down and tap View All Battery Usage. You can learn how much battery you used each day, your hourly charge levels, and how much time you were actively on your screen that day. Scroll down to learn about battery usage by app. Then tap an app to find out how much battery you used with it over the past 7 days. These percentages will change throughout the day depending on how you use your iPhone. And you can view how much time you are actively using the app. Back in your main battery settings, you'll find additional useful information like the current health of your battery. On supported iPhone models, you can tap Power Mode to turn on Adaptive Power, which dynamically makes performance adjustments to extend your battery life and automatically turns on Low Power Mode when your battery goes below 20%. And you can turn on Adaptive Power notifications to be notified about performance adjustments. And that's how to learn more about the battery life of your iPhone.
There you go. I don't think that is a new feature. I've looked at that before. You're running your battery down. You're wondering what it is doing it. You can see which app you're using that's doing that. Like watching YouTube videos on, you shouldn't have YouTube enabled on cellular. That's going to eat up your data plan plus your battery. Comments, questions? The adaptive power thing is new. I think you have to may need an iPhone that has Apple Intelligence to use that. I think that's a feature. Anybody? You out there? You still there? Awake?
Still here?
Okay. No comments, no questions? Not much yakking today. Okay, we'll move on to another one. This is another short one from Apple. How to use an eSIM while traveling with your phone. Go.
If you're traveling internationally, you have options to help you stay connected while you're away. First, when you travel abroad, your carrier might offer affordable and convenient international roaming options. Second, you can purchase an eSIM from a local carrier in the country or region you're visiting. And third, you can purchase a prepaid data eSIM from a worldwide service provider. For this example, we'll use an international eSIM. Before you start, to use an eSIM while traveling internationally, you'll need iPhone XS, iPhone XS Max, iPhone XR, or later. You'll also need a wireless carrier that supports eSIM, and your iPhone either needs a Wi-Fi or cellular connection. For this video, we're using iPhone 17 Pro with iOS 26. Each carrier might have a different method to purchase and activate a travel eSIM. Depending on which carrier you choose, after purchasing your travel eSIM, you might be redirected to your cellular settings and prompted to activate your eSIM. If so, tap Activate. This might take a few minutes. When your eSIM is ready, tap Continue. Next, you might be asked to choose where you will use your eSIM. Since we're traveling internationally, we'll select Abroad. Then tap Continue. You might also be asked to choose what type of plan you have for your travel eSIM. We'll select Voice and Data and tap Continue. Your travel eSIM setup is now complete. Tap Done to return to your settings, and your new eSIM appears in your list of SIMs and will remain off until you're ready to travel. Once you've arrived, here's how to turn on your travel eSIM. If a notification appears on your lock screen, tap it. Otherwise, you can turn on your travel eSIM in your cellular settings. From here, you can tap Travel eSIM Only to turn off your home line for calls, texts, and data while you travel, but you can still use it for iMessage and FaceTime, even if you choose to turn it off. Or, you can tap Travel eSIM and Current eSIM to turn on your travel eSIM and keep your home line active while you travel. Just be aware that using your home line while abroad might result in carrier roaming charges. We'll tap that option. Then, tap Continue. To reduce the data your travel eSIM uses, tap Turn on Low Data Mode. Your travel eSIM is ready to use on your trip. When you arrive back home, you can turn off your travel eSIM in your cellular settings. Or, if you receive a notification on your lock screen that your iPhone has automatically switched back to your home line and turned off your travel eSIM, tap it to verify that change in your settings. Stay connected while traveling. Requires a carrier that supports eSIM and a wireless service plan. Some features not available in all countries and regions. Some sequences in this video were shortened.
There you go. Rick's used this. Rick's still there. He's cooking a pot roast.
No, I'm here.
Okay.
Just lurking.
Yeah, I did an eSIM when I switched from my old phone to the one I got from Ann. Was my old phone X had a physical SIM, and then the new one doesn't have that. So I went on to my carrier, Mint Mobile, and says, "Kind of switch phones. You want a physical SIM? No eSIM." They put in your model that has an eSIM. They email you, send you an email with the eSIM. I think with a QR code. You shoot it with your camera, and it sets it up, and it was pretty straightforward.
So I have a question. Wouldn't you be better off purchasing this SIM in the country that you're gonna travel in or continent?
Yeah,
Well,
you
it's an eSIM. You can buy it here from somebody in Austria.
right.
Okay.
It's all electronic. There's nothing physical. You wherever you buy it, you probably when you buy it here, you want to tell them where you're going to use it, right?
Yeah, because they have.
Oh,
There's one company I know that specializes in SIMs along the Danube River. So they would cover you from parts of Romania, Hungary, Austria, Germany, and the Netherlands. Others would specialize in the Swiss area or Spain, or, who knows?
I would imagine, don't they have like eSIM stands in the airports when you land? You can go buy one right there.
Probably.
in the airport. Makes sense.
Yeah, I've been told those are not the best,
Uh,
but I don't really know. Just
you
talk.
you bought yours in advance before you left.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably the best. Do a little research where you're going and the prices and
It was
what.
interesting because mine came out of the country of Colombia,
Yeah.
but it was for Hungary, Austria, and all those areas.
And you can
Mm.
you can select how much data you want or how long you want to last or whatever, and the price is different or
Yeah, they had different levels.
what speed you want.
No, not
Must be
speed.
all the same.
One thing to look out for is I believe the phone has to be unlocked. A friend of mine had
Yeah.
gotten
Yeah,
his iPhone through AT&T, and then when he went to get that eSIM, he found out that he couldn't do it until he paid AT&T to unlock the phone.
if you're on contract, you're probably locked. They don't
Yeah.
want you moving off the service. But if you
Hmm.
talk to them, they might tell them you're traveling and you want to what you're doing. Sometimes carriers have, I don't know, Rick tried this, didn't you? So switch to T-Mobile because it had service
Yes,
in Europe and you got there, it didn't work or something?
I tried the T-Mobile. Didn't work for me.
Yeah. Yeah, some carriers have plans you can buy in advance. But
Like I know in France, there's one company called Orange that's very big. In England, there's a bunch of them. One of them's called O2, very, very big uh, uh, company.
Yeah,
But
if
there's
I
a
may,
dozens of them. Those are all local ones.
if I may add to that, I just came back from um, up north. A person is moving to France, and he was talking about switching to Orange. It's a big company over there, provider.
okay, that's good. Anything else? I think there's only one more. Oh, yeah, that's the last one. It's another one from Gary about using the Files app. What default application opens those files? Like what opens a PDF? By default, they open in files, but you can set it to open in something else if you like Word files, you could have it open in something else. You can choose. There's a new thing.
Hi, this is Gary with MacMost.com. Let me show you how you can set the default app for opening a file type in the Files app on your iPhone. So one of the new things we got in iOS 26 was the Preview app. A Preview app is an app that was already on the Mac that allows you to open, view, and make some changes to PDFs and image files. It's a very useful utility that Mac users love, and now we finally have it on the iPhone and iPad. But some users were surprised by this change, particularly how when you would tap an image or a PDF file on the Files app, it would switch from the Files app to Preview. So opening the file and then allowing you to view it and work with it in the Preview app. If that's not what you want, you have a few options. For instance, here I've got a folder filled with files in the Files app. And I have an image right here. If I just tap on that image, you can see how it opens up the Preview app. And now I'm viewing the image in Preview. If I view the app switcher here, you can see this is in Preview and Files is left behind right here under it. It's pretty easy to switch back to Files. I can just tap here at the top left where it says Files and I'm back here. The same thing happens with PDFs since Preview handles both image files and PDFs. But I know a lot of people want to just quickly see the image or PDF. They don't necessarily want to open it up in Preview. Well, one way to do it without making any changes is to simply tap and hold an image like that. And then you'll see an option here, Quick Look. If you tap that, you quick look the file just like you did before iOS 26. And you could tap here and do various things while still in the Files app. You can tap X and you simply return here to the list of files. You could do the same thing with a PDF file. So here's a PDF, for instance. If I tap on it normally, you can see how it opens up in preview. I can go back to files here, but if I tap and hold, I can select Quick Look. And now I'm viewing it like I was before iOS 26 in the Files app. And I still have options here. I got the 3 buttons here. I can fill in form. I can mark it up. I can view the table of contents if there is any for the PDF. And I can exit out of it, the whole time staying in the Files app, just like it worked before the previous app. Now let's say you want to make this the default behavior. Well, you can. If you go here to an image, let's use this image again here, and tap and hold it, it'll show that menu, and there's Quick Look, but there's also Open With. And I can use Open With and choose from sometimes a list of different apps that will handle this kind of file. In this case, I just see Preview, but also I see Preview with Quick Look. I can use this, and I've now set this file so that when I tap it, it just does that Quick Look preview like before. But it's not just for that file. It's for any file of the same kind. So here's another image. If I tap that, then that one will also open up in the Files app like before. Matter of fact, if I tap and hold this here and I select Open With, you could see the check mark there next to Preview with Quick Look. If you find these videos valuable, consider joining the more than 2,000 others that support MacMost at Patreon. You get exclusive content, course discounts, and more. You can read about it at macmost.com/Patreon. Now this will happen with any of that kind of file. In other words, images, not just JPEGs. Like I have a PNG file right here. If I tap and hold and I look at Open With, you can see the check mark next to Preview with Quick Look. And sure enough, tapping that will just open that up still in the Files app. PDFs will not change. That's a different kind of file. So if I tap on this PDF here, you can see it still opens up in Preview. No problem. I'll just go back here and I will tap and hold the PDF here. I will go to Open With and I will switch PDFs to also open using Quick Look inside the Files app. So now this PDF opens up here in Files, but also another PDF like this one right here. This is also set to open up here in Files. I still can open up any image and any PDF I want in Preview by tapping and holding here, and then I could switch back using Open With, but I could also tap Share like that and tap Preview here in the list. The same thing with images. I can tap and hold. I still have Open With, but I can also share and then use Preview. This will work with other file types as well. For instance, here's a text file. And if I look at Open With using this text file, you can see I've got various options, including just opening it in Pages. Hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching.
More and more Mac-like all the time.
How would you do that on the Mac?
File, get info. Select the file in the Finder so it's selected. Go to File, get info. And it says Open With. And it gives you a list of every app that could possibly open that. What's different is then there's a box that says Change All. And it'll change it every file on the computer with that dot extension like DOCs. Open all DOCs, not with Word. Open with Text Editor. Open with LibreOffice. And it changes them all.
Yeah, that's
your
how
preferences.
LibreOffice becomes very, very useful for you.
Yes.
Because you just say, from now on, any file like this, LibreOffice will open it, and it's wonderful. Just takes all the options out of it. It's automatic.
So it's not just the files on your desktop, it will be
Nope.
No, whatever
Everything.
file with that extension, whatever is it .docx, that's all Word files. Change it all Word files to LibreOffice files. And you can change it back if you don't like it. On with 3 clicks, you can change the whole computer from what opens those files. Excel files, XLSX, change them all. So if you got a lot of old files in Excel and you don't want to pay for Word, the thing is when you don't, if you upgrade and you had Office on an old computer and then you get rid of Office and you don't have Office anymore, it'll start automatically opening them in Pages, which to me is not very convenient. Yes, it will open them, but when you save them, it saves them as .pages files. And then if you want to give them to somebody else, then you got to convert them and export them out to Word files. So if you just leave them as Word files, open them in LibreOffice, nobody knows the difference. You open them, your old Word files, they work. You save them, they work. You can give them to other people. They're still Word files. It works. This works great. Same with Excel files.
Okay.
Excel files will open in numbers, and you can change it to open in LibreOffice. It'll open just fine. Now, in LibreOffice, I suggest you go to the settings, and then there's default file type. So when you make a new text document in LibreOffice, it will want to save it as the LibreOffice type. I think it's open something.
Open ODT.
Right, but you can change that to new files.
Right.
Always text files always save as DOCX. Spreadsheet files always save as XLSX. Those are Word files. Then you'll make new files. You'll save them. You'll give them to other people with Word or Excel. They can modify them, give them back. They open LibreOffice. Nobody knows the difference. It just works.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows and nobody cares. So it's real easy to get it set up that way.
I want to add something. I had an issue with Preview over the weekend. I had made a PDF file with multiple thumbnails in it. In other words, multiple images in there, and I used to be able to just click on it, click and drag, copy and paste, and it will let me do it once, and then it wouldn't let me do it again till I restarted Preview and did it one more time. It would let me copy and paste one thumbnail, and it would stop again. So the way I got around it was to restart it and get one at a time. But I believe that it wasn't like that. I was able to do whatever I wanted to. Now I can delete all I want. In other words, all the thumbnails that I don't need in there, images or whatever's in my PDF, I can delete those, but it won't let me copy and drag. So I need to.
You need an appointment at the clinic.
So let me get this clear. So you have a PDF. The thumbnails are just pages. So you have multiple pages. You want to add some other PDF in onto the end of it and keep adding more pages.
Now I want to copy one of those pages and drag it over to a different document. And I'll let you do that. It will let you do that.
I add pages by taking one PDF and dragging it onto the bottom of the list, and it will combine them with multiple pages. But I don't know about the copy and paste. I never do it that way.
Well, I got around it. I wonder if it's gonna, and I'll try it some other time to see if this continues, or was it just a one time?
Are you saving it after you put the copy and paste it in, then you do save?
Yes, this is a saved document. All you do is copy and paste it and leave the other one as is. In other words, you don't change it.
Once you put it in, if you don't save it, it won't be there. I mean, you got to save the document.
Right, it's got to be saved first, right?
Okay, you're doing save.
No.
No, no.
Well, I don't know. It's just something that happened over the weekend. Not a big deal. I'm going to find out. I'll find out why. see what I can do. Because I don't know. I thought I was able to do this previously. I don't do it often, but I thought I was able to do it.
And what do you do when things don't work?
Yeah, restart. I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Try it. It might
That's
work.
correct. And that's one thing I didn't do with this. It happened on this, and I didn't do that. Okay.
Yeah. I
I
think you
just
got a
did.
messed up, you had a temporarily messed up preferences
Yes,
file going on.
probably.
I get weird
Probably.
things happen on my computer. Just like
It
something
just,
weird happens, I just restart and it goes
yep,
away. There's
restart
no
it, it'll
Okay.
create a new one.
doesn't you don't know what it is. You try to fight it and fix it and figure it out, and it's not something that's repeatable. You restart and it just works. That's weird.
Yeah, one thing I didn't do. Shame on me. But
Okay, that was the last video, so I think we can stop the share, and that's the end. Anything got any more comments or questions about any of the videos, or we can just start a general Q&A. It's 4 o'clock, so we did an hour.
I do have, when Gary was saying there was a new option when you update it, and he was trying to show us what the difference is, in clear and what's the other option there? I didn't see
Tinted.
any difference.
It's very subtle. It's hard to,
Yeah,
it doesn't make a big difference. To me, the going into the accessibility and doing reduced transparency make huge difference. If you're having a problem reading the stuff, the tinted may not
yeah,
do it for you.
yeah. Same here. I have a problem reading that stuff.
Yeah, well,
So
the tinted
Just
is
wait a
very,
while because the next updates are doing more with. Uh, there's actually a slider now for the time that shows on the lock screen, so you can slide it from very tinted, very transparent to not at all. And I assume that in
mm,
subsequent versions, they're going to add that slider for liquid glass in general.
Sense.
yeah, I mean, they made a big deal about, oh, you can now turn off liquid glass. Well, the kind of tinted is like, you can hardly even tell the difference. It's very subtle. The reduced transparency is dramatic. I mean, boom, it
yeah,
wipes out all the transparency in the dialog boxes. It's different on the phone and on the computer too. On the computer, I think it's more dramatic when you turn off transparency. To me, it's almost too much. Kind of upsets the balance of everything. All of a sudden, you have these stark white dialog boxes, and the menu goes. I guess at the top, the menu goes white, and the dock is not transparent, and I think it fills it in black, gray, solid gray. It reduces a lot of the transparency. Okay, I think we're done with this recording. We'll tell the DVMUG members if you're watching this on YouTube and you want to see the Q&A, second portion of this, you can get the link on the BBS. And we'll see you there. So I will stop this recording, which I have to find out where it is. Recording stop. Stop.